Hello, how are you? Lately, have you noticed that your memory is getting worse? Sometimes we forget where we left our wallet, the car keys, or things from the more distant past, like trying to remember someone's name when you run into them on the street and just can't recall it. This is often associated with people over 50 or 60 years old. But let me tell you right now that this is not something that's inevitable in your life. When we think about improving memory and all that, there's one country that really stands out to us, and that's Japan, right? Japan is a country with many centenarians. There's a large elderly population, and they invest a lot in scientific research for older people. So today, I brought something here for you. Scientifically proven strategies that Japanese people use to improve memory and enhance mental clarity. And even though I'm saying these are Japanese strategies, they're things you can put into practice in your daily life. You're going to love this video, so stay until the end. You won't want to miss it. Before we start, I want to ask you, how old are you? Have you noticed that your memory is getting weaker? Do you notice this more with short-term memory? Like I mentioned, forgetting your keys or wallet, walking into a room and not remembering why you went there, or even things from the past? Forgetting someone's name or a fact you try to recall but just can't remember? Write to me here in the comments. I'd love to see your response. If you like videos like this, with strategies to improve your health and your mental well-being for everyday life, give it a like. That way, I'll know you enjoy it and want me to bring more videos like this. Not to mention that your like is very important to me. It shows YouTube that you trust and support my channel. So if you can, leave your like, okay? I told you that Japan is one of the countries that invests the most in these older people, the elderly. They do a lot of scientific research, and there are some scientifically proven strategies that help improve our brains. I'm going to say a few things in Japanese here. I don't know if I'm saying it right because I don't speak Japanese, but the name of our first strategy is radio Taiso, which translated would be radio calisthenics. That's because since the 1920s, millions of Japanese people start their day with this radio calisthenics, or radio Taiso, right? As I mentioned here, these are light exercises that used to be broadcast. In the 1920s, it started on the radio because there was no TV, and later it moved to television. They're actually broadcast daily. These are stretches, coordinated movements, small push-ups, Tai Chi Chuan. And why does this work? This improves overall blood circulation, activates and stimulates our body, and ensures more oxygen for your brain. That's the first positive point. Second, it stimulates balance and motor concentration, which we already know is related to cognition. Our brain is completely interconnected with our body, so sometimes when you activate your foot, you activate your brain because of the cerebellum. Activating different areas of your body stimulates different areas of your brain. So it helps with memory, concentration, focus, and mental clarity. The third benefit of this technique is that it is often done in groups. So it brings socialization, which is so important and is another protective factor against dementia. So you can adapt it to your routine. You can do 5 minutes of stretching and light movements every morning will already be a good start for you. We know that establishing a self-care routine early in the morning brings many benefits to our brain health, which support and contribute positively to how our brain functions. And even though it's a Japanese routine, it's something we can incorporate into our own routine, even in other countries. The second thing that the Japanese do a lot, which has a great correlation with memory, cognition, and our brain, it's reading out loud and doing simple calculations. No one needs to be a math whiz or recite Shakespeare. That's not the point. But in Japan, researchers have developed cognitive training programs for the elderly based on something very simple, which is reading everyday things out loud every day and doing mental math. There is scientific evidence. Studies show that these tasks activate several areas of the brain at the same time: language, attention, working memory. And this is in elderly people with mild cognitive decline. So, people who were already starting to forget many things, showing early signs of dementia, experienced improvements in reasoning speed and working memory, which ends up being really interesting. So, here's a practical tip. Read for 10 minutes every day. 10 minutes is really not much time at all. And this ends up encouraging you to develop another habit, which is reading. Reading by itself is already very interesting. It's even better if you can do it out loud. That's even better for you. And then, if you can, do some quick calculations like addition, subtraction. You don't need to do any division with decimal places. That's not the idea. It's just about training your brain in different areas, because that will further stimulate your cognition. Before I continue, I want to make two things clear here. First, I'm giving you several ideas here, all backed by science. But you don't have to do all of this every day, right? You can choose, and in fact, you can mix it up. One day you can read, another day you can do this exercise in the morning, and on another day you can try the other tips I'm going to share here. The idea is to switch things up, not to feel pressured to do everything every single day. That's the first point. Second, going back to the topic of reading and calculations, this idea of 10 minutes is just the minimum. But obviously, if you're reading an amazing book and want to read for longer, feel free. The more the better for you. The third tip is forest bathing. The name is Shinrin-yoku. Once again, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right because I don't speak Japanese. And the idea is that Japan is very well known for valuing contact with nature, right? When we think of Japan, at least I do, I think of Tokyo, right? That super cosmopolitan city, a huge megalopolis, lots of buildings, lots of things like that. But there are also those beautiful rural areas, those wonderful beaches. And they really value nature. They truly value the forest, the beaches, and the deep connection with ancestry. And this Shinrin-yoku literally means, as far as I know, forest bathing. In other words, walking slowly among the trees, paying attention to the sounds, the smells, the sensations, the little animals that are there. And science has already shown that this reduces cortisol, which is the stress hormone that harms memory. It also improves mood and sleep quality, which is essential, right? Things that help improve our recall, our memory, and help us retain information. So, sleeping well is fundamental, and lowering cortisol is essential for you to sleep well. It increases the activity of the parasympathetic nervous system, which is what brings focus and calm to our daily lives. So sometimes you might say, Patricia, I don't live near a forest. What should I do? It could be a park, a garden, the sea, any kind of nature you have nearby. You can try to connect with it in your daily life, even for a few minutes, to help lower your cortisol and stress. Who hasn't gone to the beach, sat there, and just watched the sea? You smell that ocean air and it feels like we just slow down. You went to a park, to a forest, you smell that scent of grass, of wet earth. It really feels like you enter a different atmosphere. So try to incorporate this into your routine if you can to get these benefits for your memory and your brain as well. The third scientific benefit is the use of green tea every day. We know that in Japan, green tea is like coffee for us. They use, tea, matcha, and its daily presence for them is part of their routine. And it's not just a cultural drink, of course it is, but it's also an ally for the brain. Several studies have already found that green tea is rich in catechins, which are antioxidants that reduce brain aging, an extremely important point. It also contains L-theanine, which promotes relaxation without causing drowsiness. So, it manages to strike that balance where it relaxes you, but doesn't make you sleepy, and it also promotes focus and attention without causing anxiety. So, if you're an anxious person, trying to replace coffee with green tea could be really good for you. In population studies in Japan, analyzing the Japanese population, it was found that elderly people who regularly consume green tea have a lower risk of dementia. So that's like gold for us. And the practical recommendation is 2 to 3 cups per day, preferably homemade versions that you prepare yourself at home. 1 teaspoon of green tea, 1 cup of boiling water, mix the two, let it steep for 10 minutes, and add it to your daily routine. It will definitely bring a lot of benefits to your health. Another benefit, another thing you can add to your routine is a rhythm and singing strategy, which are exercises for attention and memory that the Japanese practice. Research has also investigated practices that combine voice, rhythm, and hand movements. As if it were a little dance like this, and the movement of the hands, for example, repeating short syllables out loud while moving your fingers in sequence, making movements like this, or clapping your hands in a specific way. This simultaneously activates the motor, auditory, and language areas of the brain. So, it stimulates many areas of the brain, promotes neural synchronization, which improves attention and cognitive flexibility. This exercise is fantastic. And some studies have shown that elderly people who practice these rhythmic exercises experience improvements in focus and short-term memory. So you can try clapping your hands in different patterns, different rhythmic patterns, slow, fast, with pauses. You can try repeating simple syllables at home in different ways, clapping your hands. There are even some videos on the internet with elderly people doing this, which you can look up and follow along with. It's in Japanese, but it's just syllables, really. You should be able to do it. You don't need to speak Japanese to follow along. And once again, if you don't feel comfortable, that's another of the strategies I've brought for you. Tell me which of these strategies you found most interesting and which ones you're going to try out today. I'd love to see your comment. Remember to like the video, it really helps me out, and share it with anyone who would enjoy it or need it. Let's spread this chain of kindness. That's what I want here with the channel. See you next time. Bye.